Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show. We cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, and when we give you a fresh perspective on sports and how we see it. And in today's episode, the topic is, what if Kawhi Leonard stayed in Toronto? So that's the topic I want to get into in today's video. But before we get into that, I want you guys to please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. And be sure to check out this show on the Dreamerspro Podcast, which we're going to have linked in the description below. So make sure you go ahead and check that out. So, to me, this is pretty interesting. This is a pretty interesting topic because we know the season is over. Again, if you haven't seen me congratulate the Lakers, I'm going to congratulate the Los Angeles Lakers and LeBron on his fourth title. And whenever the season is over in any sport, we start to kind of look back and say, what if this happened? What if that happened? That's generally what we do. Some fans say, if my team had this, they would have won. If my team had that, they would have won. And in this particular instance, I'm kind of looking at Kawhi to wonder, and I'm just wondering, what would have happened if he did decide to stay with the Toronto Raptors? And all of you guys know that Kawhi Leonard is my favorite player. I'm a Kawhi Leonard fan. And given the fact that he moved to the Los Angeles Clippers, I support the Clippers because that's the team he plays for. Kind of similarly to Shannon Sharpe. Shannon Sharpe is a LeBron James fan. I've seen him with Cavalier jerseys, Laker jerseys, so kind of the same thing. But I do like the Clippers, and I think it would have been pretty cool if they won because they never won a championship before. However, looking at this situation, it begs to ask the question, what would have happened? Because, LeBron just won his fourth title, and Kawhi, if he had won with the Clippers, he would have had his third title with a third different team. But LeBron was able to come away with that because the Clippers just weren't able to close out the Denver Nuggets, and the Lakers did. The Lakers did. People like Skip Bayless said, "Oh, the Clippers are looking ahead to the Lakers," and that could be an argument. But nevertheless, they weren't able to close out the Denver Nuggets, and here we have LeBron winning the championship, and here we're asking this question: what if Kawhi stayed? Now, some people could have asked the question, what if Kawhi stayed in Toronto? Would he have won, even if they won this year with the Clippers? But in this case, they didn't, so it makes this question just a little bit more, pertinent. Now, a few things. When Kawhi Leonard was with the Clippers last season, with the Toronto Raptors, he had a pretty good season. Okay, he averaged about 26 points, got you about 7 rebounds and 4 assists. But in the playoffs is really where he made his mark. Because in the playoffs last season for the Toronto Raptors, he averaged 30.5 points, shot 50% from the field, shot 88% from the free throw line, got you 9.1 rebounds, and about 3.9 assists and 1.7 steals. Okay, so he had a stellar showing, and he led the playoffs in points, rebounds, and steals. But obviously, when you put these numbers into context and you saw the run that he went on, if you witnessed it, against the Philadelphia 76ers, against the Milwaukee Bucks, and then going up against the Golden State Warriors, I think all of you guys would have been totally impressed with what you saw last season. And it was really cool to see that team, that country, win their first NBA title. And, Kawhi Leonard was treated like a god in Toronto from what I saw. They loved him. They fell in love with him. They were going to give him so many perks if he decided to stay with the team. But nevertheless, he decided to move on to go back home to play with his, to go play with the LA Clippers and really try to help that program win their first title as well. So in some cases, one can say, he left a really good situation to go in search of a new challenge because maybe he probably felt, oh, listen, I've already conquered this challenge. I want a new one. So probably that was part of his reasoning. Now, for me, if Kawhi Leonard had decided to stay with the Toronto Raptors, I think he would have had a very good chance as repeating as an NBA champion, and I'm going to give you a litany of reasons why I believe that. Number one, they would have had more chemistry, right? They would have had a year of chemistry under their belt, the Toronto Raptors I'm referring to. The first year he came with that team, although that nucleus of players had already kind of been together, the players like Kyle Lowry, Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, Marc Gasol, who was acquired, I think, at the trade deadline, OG Anunoby, Serge Ibaka, Norman Powell. They had all these guys already there, right? With the exception of Marc Gasol. But now, if he decided to join this team, they would have one more year of chemistry and continuity under the belt, which was one of the issues that really plagued the Los Angeles Clippers this season was that they simply didn't have enough chemistry. They didn't play enough. They didn't have enough games together. Now, granted, Kawhi didn't play the entirety of last season. I think he played something like 60-something games, but he was coming off of an injury, so that's understandable. But in this case, he'd already built a year of chemistry, right? So them going into this season again, these guys, you've already played with them. You already pretty much know their tendencies and all of this stuff. You already gotten to know the group of guys. So they already had that in their corner, so to speak. That's one thing. Secondly, the Toronto Raptors would have been playing with so much confidence. Why? Because they just won the championship, right? They were the champs. They were walking around with the crown on their head, and they would have had a swagger to them. They would have more confidence to them. It's one thing when you're chasing a championship and you've never won one. There's another thing when you already have it and you're defending it. You have this pride about yourself, as they say, championship pride, that you want to defend, and they would have had that. They would because they would have already illustrated to themselves that they've already captured this title. It wasn't as if it was something they were aspiring for. They've already done it, so they would have had that, they would have had this, they would have more confidence about them after winning the championship, which would have helped them, because when they got into the playoffs and they would have faced some difficult, situations, as all championships teams do, they would have been able to draw from their experience and look themselves in the mirror and say, hey, listen, we've done this before, so we can do it again. So that's one of the things I think they would have had working in their favor. Another thing is he would have had the opportunity to play with an improved Pascal Siakam, right? Pascal Siakam is one of these guys that's just on the rise. It's always getting better. Now, if we look at his numbers in the playoffs, he's averaged, 2017, 2018, he averaged, 6.6 points in the playoffs. Then he went to 19. This year he dropped a little bit, but if you look at his overall career improvement, Pascal Siakam, if you look at his regular season numbers here, which I'm trying to pull up, you'll see that his numbers got better. First year in the league, he averaged 4.2 points. Next year, he averaged 7.3 points. The next year, he averaged 17 points. And last year, he averaged 23 points. Now, some people may say, hey, listen, the reason why you see those numbers being that much better was because he had more opportunities to score. He had more attempts, and that's true, because the year he played with Kawhi, he was attempting about 12 field goals a game. The year Kawhi left, he was attempting about 18 field goals a game. So he had more opportunities to score. However, I think he would have gotten a year better. He would improve more over the off season. He would probably know where to pick his spots a little bit better. So maybe if he was attempting maybe 16 shots a game or whatever it is, I'm sure he would still be able to score a little bit more. So he had a Pascal Siakam that was already improving, that had a pretty good game in one of the games in the finals. So he already had that. He had a guy that's already, he was an all-star this year, and there's no one saying that he wouldn't be able to become an all-star even if Kawhi Leonard was there for an additional year. Now, that's another thing. Another thing is they already had the formula on how to defeat the Milwaukee Bucks, because the Milwaukee Bucks were pretty much going to be the number one seed again in the Eastern Conference, as they were the year previously. They had the regular season MVP. They had a Defensive Player of the Year. But the Toronto Raptors would have been able to go into the playoffs knowing that they've already beaten the Milwaukee Bucks. And the Milwaukee Bucks would have been the team with that little voice in the back of their head saying, hey, I wonder, can we beat this team, right? Because last year it was an upset. Everyone picked the Milwaukee Bucks to beat the Toronto Raptors, but the Raptors came back and beat them, being down 0-2, and they essentially just won the next 4 games. So, they already had that formula, in the bag. So for them, the road for them to get to the NBA Finals coming out of the East would have been pretty straightforward. Not easy, but straightforward, because they would have already figured out the formula to beat the best team in the East. I don't think Philadelphia would have been a threat, especially with Jimmy Butler not being there anymore. I don't know what it would have been like for them to go up against the Miami Heat, but if they did play up against the Miami Heat, I have supreme confidence that I believe that Toronto Raptors would have beat the Miami Heat. That's another thing. And finally, there would have been no Kevin Durant or Kyrie Irving. Kevin Durant is one of the best top 3 basketball players in the world. He wasn't healthy. He was coming off of Achilles tear, and he wasn't going to be playing. So you didn't even have to worry about KD. Not like it wasn't like the competition in the Western Conference. You didn't even have to worry, about KD. Now, if the Toronto Raptors did make it to the NBA Finals, and potentially play against the Lakers, I would have absolutely picked the Toronto Raptors to beat the Lakers. No doubt about it. No doubt about it in my mind that I believe the Toronto Raptors would have been able to beat the Lakers, right? Not to say that they will. I'm just saying I have no doubt that if they played the Lakers, they'll be evenly matched. They have a great coaching staff, great chemistry. They're playing with house money because they already won the championship, so now they're just going for a back-to-back title. So for me, even if they met the Lakers in the finals, I think they would have done really well and possibly have beaten them, because they wouldn't have to worry about issues of maturity or coaching or chemistry or anything like that. So for me, I think if he had stayed, he would have possibly had a chance, a very good chance, to capturing his third NBA title, but he didn't. And some people may say, why even ask the question? But that's sports. Sports, we always ask so many hypothetical questions. What if Kobe played against Jordan, and this and this and this? What if LeBron played against Jordan? All these different hypotheticals. So it's part of sports. It's part of what makes it, interesting. And in this case, I just figured, hey, why not throw this question out there to see what people think? So what I want to know from you guys is, what do you think would have happened if Kawhi Leonard decided to stay with the Toronto Raptors? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. We're also going to be linking another video at the end of this video for you guys to check out if you enjoyed this video. Be sure you check out that video as well. Maybe you may enjoy it. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro. Wish you guys an amazing day. Peace.